Welcome back to Swordman Josh Gaming, and today quickly we're going to go through another deck tech for one of my favorite decks that I like to play. The last time we did the Orzhov Pauper deck. This time we're going to do my Sliver Pauper deck, and this one's just a lot of fun. It comes out fast, strikes hard, but it can go the long game also, since it's tribal. Your slivers get really big and make it really hard for people to even remove them, especially in a pauper format. So let's get into it. Bam! There it is. So we're going to go through first the pump slivers, then we'll go through the utility slivers, and then through uh, the spells that help keep your slivers alive, make things faster, and make this work. And then we'll go through the land base, which allows you to run this thing. So our first set of pump slivers, which are common, is the good old sinew sliver. So he's just a 1-1 for 1 white and 1 colorless, and all slivers get +1/+1. So he's really a 2-2 for 2. He's a bear. And we have a full playset of those lovely sinew slivers. So I'll put those right there. Next common sliver we have, and of course since it's pauper they're all common, we have predatory sliver. 1 green, 1 colorless. Same exact thing as the sinew sliver. All slivers get +1/+1. So you can start seeing the way this is going to stack really quick. So we'll put those guys right there. Then our next pump sliver is the old-fashioned, I remember when this guy came out, the muscle sliver from Tempest. Again, 1 green, 1 colorless. All slivers get +1/+1. Just a 1-1. So we have lots of help bears in here instead of hate bears. So there's actually... Now imagine if you have all of these guys out. There's 4, 8, 12 of them. That means all of these guys are 13/13 if you have them all out. But wait, there's more. Here's our last pump sliver. Kind of needed to go this route because we're playing only green-white. But we have plated sliver. It's 1 white, so it can be your 1 drop, help your slivers survive a little bit more. And all slivers get +0/+1, and it's a 1-1. So he's a 1-2. So he's a great blocker. And if you play out one of your pump slivers on turn 2, you're in good shape with 2 2/3s by turn 2. So there's our last pump sliver. Now let's get into the utility slivers. So the first utility sliver I have is one that I really enjoy and allows you to strike out without having to worry about the kickback, and that's Sentinel Sliver. So sometimes my LGS didn't have any of these. I actually had to go out and order them. Actually, I had to order most of these slivers out from Card Kingdom. But 1 white, 1 colorless. All slivers have vigilance. He's a bear by himself, so that's not bad. He's a bear with help. And the vigilance just makes it so that way you can just continue to strike in without any worries about being attacked back. Our next utility sliver, Blast from the Past, we have the Sidewinder sliver. All slivers have flanking. He's a 1-1 for 1, but basically if any of your opponent's creatures block and they don't have flanking, they get -1/-1, which means your slivers can't be blocked by 1-1 chump blockers because they'll immediately die. And you're pumping up and you're taking them down. And it's also a 1-drop. So we have 2 1-drops in here, both the plated and the Sidewinder, which is pretty good. And here's our next 1-drop. And for those decks that go long or gain a lot of life, then we have the Virulent Sliver. So it's poisonous, which is okay. It's not nearly as good as Infect, but poison's okay. It's 10 poison counters, but poison counters is 1 poison counter per creature. Has infect is 1 poison counter per attack point. So you have to get in with 10 creatures for your opponent to get 10 poison counters in this way. Unlike getting in with 10 attack power like you do with infect. So it's not as strong, but it is a great way to finish off some games where your opponent has been gaining life, or you can get in and you've got in early for some poison damage, and you just have to get in for 1 or 2 more points of poison damage, and at that point their life doesn't matter. So we have a full playset of Virulent Sliver, a 1/1. Now let's get into the spells that help make this work. We have some pump spells first. We have a full playset of Vines of Vastwood. So it's 1 green, but it has a kicker for a green. So for 2 green, for 1 green, it target creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponent controls this turn. So it gives you hex. What is that? Shroud or hexproof. But if you kick it, then your creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. So that turns one of these 2/2s over here. All of a sudden, that 2/2, if you kick it on turn 3, that turns that into a 6/6, and it starts getting out of control fast. So there's our first set of spells. Our next set of pump spells, and our last set of pump spells. Mutagenic Growth. 1 Phyrexian mana. Can either be paid with 2 life or green. So this is a great protect card. Keep 1 in your hand. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. That's all it does, but it allows you to protect one of your slivers from surprise removal if you're tapped out. So it's in here. Great card. Now we have another protect style spell. I'll put that. It's not pump your creatures, but it does something just as good as that Mutagenic Growth, and that's only 2 Apostle's Blessing. So this can be used offensively or defensively. So it's a Phyrexian and a colorless, and it can either be paid with white or 2 life, and target creature, artifact, or creature you control gains protection from artifacts or from a color of your choice until end of turn. This card is great on the defense to protect yourself from some lightning bolts or any number of things that can remove your creatures. Or if you have to get in for that last bit of damage, you can use this, give yourself protection from whatever color they're playing, and then just walk right past them and finish the game off. So only 2 Apostle Blessings. And then our last 2 of, because we don't, if you've noticed, we have 0 card draw on this deck. Well, here's our only 2 card draw cards. Lead the Stampede. 2 of them. 2 playsets. Or 1 place, not even a playset. 2 copies of Lead the Stampede. 1 green, 2 colorless. You can, and this is a common, even though these are marked uncommon. It was produced in common, I just don't remember the set. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of creature cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So you drop this on turn 3. If you look at the number of creatures we have in this deck, 12, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. You have 28 creatures. More than likely, off of a Lead the Stampede, you're going to get between 2 and 4 creatures. Now, what makes this deck run? The mana base. Now, we're not playing any ramp because if you notice, our highest CMC is that Lead the Stampede for 3. Everything else is 1 or 2. So we have a pretty hefty mana base for having such a low CMC, but I wanted to be able to make sure that this deck would constantly run and never have any problems. So our first thing that we're doing is we have a full playset of Blossoming Sands. Oop, gotta get rid of that one. So Blossoming Sands is better than the Guild Gates because it's a gain land. So it does enter the battlefield tap just like the Selesnya Guild Gate would, but when it enters, you get a gain a life. And these are my foily copies of it. This is how much I love this deck. I have foilies of this, of the Virulent Sliver, of what I could get foils and it wasn't cost prohibitive. I have them. So a full playset of Blossoming Sands. We have, for mana fixing, we have 2 and 2 only Evolving Wilds. So we can go get a plains or a forest. And then at the end of the whole thing, we have 7 plains and 7 forests. That's it, folks. It is a simple deck to build. It's very consistent because of all the duplicity of all of the cards. And it's just a lot of fun to play Sliver Tribal. If there's anything else that you guys would subtract or add to this deck, put it in the comments below. I had at one point in time been, until I got my other 2 Sentinel Slivers, I'd been running Hive Stirrings, which is, if this was at instant speed, it would be amazing, but at sorcery, it just doesn't stack up. It's put 2 1/1 colorless Sliver creature tokens onto the battlefield, so by themselves, those Sliver tokens absolutely suck. But when you start stacking up all these other slivers, they become very useful. However, this being at sorcery speed makes this card just that much worse than running a full play set of the Sentinel Sliver. So that was one of my changes that I made to this deck when I initially built it. I just went out, started looking at all the slivers, tried to get it down to 2 colors, and build the best sliver deck and the fastest sliver deck that I could. So if you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button, like or comment down below, and as always, may Keep Calm Kitty be with you.